we're going into the Appalachian Brewing Company here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And we're about to go to their soda making tour. And we get to go in and see how they make soda.
Oh my God, it smells incredible.
Oh, it does. Oh my gosh. And I think we were even going to get to take some sodas home with us.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
It's not beer. It's a different kind of beer.
It is. Well, root beer, birch beer.
Ginger beer, right?
Ginger beer.
Here it is, the Appalachian Brewing Company. We've only ever come here to drink beer. At least I've only been here to drink beer. But I think Bob came here with Eric and they had the soda. And he tried the root beer and he liked it.
And I actually bought a 4-pack of the root beer from from their Harrisburg location. So now we're going to figure out how they make that. Here we are in the obligatory gift shop, souvenir shop,
Here's the
swag
beers.
shop. Here's the sodas.
We got ginger. I'd like to be Vanna White here.
Okay.
And here we have ginger beer, which you can use for your Moscow mules. And coming along, we have white birch beer, which looks totally yummy to me. Appalachian root beer. And diet Appalachian root beer. All right, we're getting ready to go into the Soda Works Factory tour.
Everyone's required.
And everyone has to wear an apron, so here's Beto's apron. And soon you'll see what else he has to wear. We all have to cover our hair to keep our hairs from falling into the soda, including facial hair. Eyebrow nets. Well, isn't that cute? Do you have to cover your nose? No, you do not.
No.
It's just your hair.
has hairnet.
That's cute.
That's right. You were busy videoing.
I am. Oh, aren't they the cutest thing ever?
Right here for just a moment. We're going to be coming back to here. This is where we actually start making soda. But I wanted you to look above you to the green and orange track. The green and orange track goes back to the back of the room, goes across the back of the room, goes into a little tiny window up on the second floor. And up on the second floor, that's where we put together the 4-packs, the 6-packs that we sell our sodas in, put them into the cartons, push those cartons out the little window, down, they make their left-hand turn, they go over here to the slide. You saw that on the video at the very beginning where the box came down the slide. When it gets down to the bottom of the slide, it gets picked up on the conveyor belt, goes down to the end of the conveyor belt where the little white fingers are hanging down. That's where the bottles actually get put into the cartons. Anyway, there's 4 machines up here. The first one is this machine back here. This is the one that makes the 6-packs. Okay. Then you've got this machine. This is my baby. This is my favorite machine. This is the one that makes the little 4-packs that we sell our ginger beer in. We sell our ginger beer in 4-packs. The machine way back in the back against the wall, that's the one that puts our cartons together. The cartons come in, they're all pre-printed, they're on pallets, we load them into the machine. It forms the box, takes the box on the bottom, pushes it out along the track, and brings it out here to this 4th machine. So the empty case goes into the bottom part of the machine. The 4-packs and 6-packs get fed along the top. When they get into the top of the machine, they get pushed down into the carton. And then that's when they get pushed out the little window, take their left-hand turn, go over to the slide, go down the slide, get it picked up on the conveyor belt, go to the machine with the little white fingers. Okay? So what it looks like, is like this. You can, now 4-packs, they're square. They can kind of go in any direction, but obviously 6-packs shaped the way they are have to go in this direction to fit into the carton. And so that's why you have the little rails and everything else up here. So again, upstairs where you saw that was where we put the 4-packs, the 6-packs, they go into the cases come out the little window, make the left-hand turn, go to the slide, go down the slide, conveyor belt, little white fingers. But this is where we actually start making soda. Okay? And the soda process starts out with this big white tank back here. Big white tank holds 5,000 gallons of water. If you look way back against the back wall, you'll see part of our filtration system. We take that water, we actually triple filter it. We purify the water to our standards. Okay? But also while we're doing that, while we're purifying it to our standards, we're also making sure that the mineral content in the water is exactly the same mineral content that we had when we started over in Harrisburg back in 1997. Okay? Reason for that, water has flavor. You know, if you've ever bought the little bottles of purified water, what does it say right underneath it? Minerals added for taste, okay? Water does have flavor. So as we're purifying the water to our standards, we're making sure that the mineral content is exactly the same as we started in 1997, been so successful with, and so as to keep our overall flavor profile exactly the same. Okay. All right, the next part of the process is these two silver tanks right here. These two silver tanks, they're the ones that hold the sugar solution. So anyway, these two tanks, they hold 2,000 gallons each of the sugar solution of the bricks. There's agitator that keeps the sugar solution moving. They're also heated on the inside to 90 degrees. So by keeping the water heated, by keeping the water moving, it doesn't allow the sugar a chance to settle out. It keeps our sugar density very consistent throughout the entire process of making the soda. Okay. All right. Next one, this little tiny tank right here. This is where we invent the flavors. This is where we test our flavors. The gentleman that does it, I tell you, he's a genius with flavors. You know, you talk about on the video 25 different herbs and berries and things. He's playing around with those, and that's where we come up with the different Lily's soda flavors. And what we'll do is we'll play around with that until we get it just right. But then we'll take it and we'll expand the recipe to where it'll fit into our main mixing tank. Come on down. This main mixing tank, if we're making a full batch of soda, will make 500 gallons of mix, okay, of the syrup. When we get over there to the machine that's going to be filling the bottles, we'll talk about it again, but we have a 1 part of mix to 5 parts of water. So we have this ratio of 1 part of mix to 5 parts of water. So a 500-gallon batch of syrup of mix will make 3,000 gallons of soda by the time we're done. Okay? Reality, though, is when we're working in here, we don't even think in terms of gallons anymore. Everything is done by weight. This is actually sitting on a big scale. There's a digital readout up at the top, and we do everything by weight. We do the water by weight. We do the sugar solution, the bricks by weight. Okay. We do the different extracts by weight. We don't use a 5-gallon pail of honey. We use 60 pounds of honey. Everything is done by weight. And then I have this one last tank over here. It's a little tank. Little does not mean unimportant. I'm sure you're aware of that. Okay? The most important tank in here, as far as I'm concerned, what we do here is we fill it up with water, we put pancreatic acid into it, and then heat it up to scalding temperatures. When we finish running a batch of root beer, we'll run that scalding hot water with the acid through the lines. That'll clean out all the syrups, but also with that acid in there, it'll inhibit any kind of bacterial growth. And the next time we go to do another batch, birch beer, we'll do that all over again. We'll fill it up with water, acid, heat it up to scalding, run it through the lines, guaranteeing that there's absolutely not going to be any kind of bacterial growth. It's completely sanitized inside the lines. Okay? So over here, this is one of my favorite machines. I know you heard that upstairs, that was my favorite machine. I've got about 4 favorite machines, so favorite machine number 2. What we're doing here is we're taking a pallet of bottles. The bottles come in from the manufacturer. They're all sanitized. They're all wrapped up to keep them sanitized. There's a little over 4,000 bottles on each pallet. There's 9 levels. Each level has a little under 500 bottles on each level. And what we'll do is we'll take that full pallet of bottles and place it inside the machine, inside the cage over here. And then the machine up at here, that raises and lowers until it matches wherever the top level of bottles might be. Whether it's at the very top like it is now, or at the very bottom, or somewhere in between, it'll line up. And then that white bar across the back, that'll push 500 bottles off onto this side of the machine, onto the platform. And then the platform raises and lowers until it matches up to the conveyor belt. And then it pushes those 500 bottles off onto the conveyor belt. Okay? And it's amazing to watch it do it without any of them falling over. I'm sure that at some point in time you've cleaned out your refrigerator. I don't know why I'm looking at you. You've cleaned out your refrigerator and you've got all those bottles sitting on the counter and you try to move them down the counter and the ketchup bottle falls over. To watch this thing move 500 bottles off onto the conveyor belt without any of them falling over is kind of interesting. Then when it gets here, you see the machine back there with the little suction cups on it? Okay, you see the little suction cups? Yeah. It comes down, sucks onto that piece of cardboard, brings the cardboard out here, drops it into the bin, and that way we're recycling all the cardboard, we're recycling all the wooden pallets. Okay. At that point, it comes around the conveyor belt, it turns the corner, gets neck down, neck down, neck down, neck down, neck down, until it gets to this point right here, and now it's going through one bottle at a time. Probably don't need to explain a whole lot to you about this machine. It's putting the labels on the bottles. Okay. It's also putting the little labels on the neck of the bottle. All right. But the third part of the machine, that's an important part of the machine, is this part of the machine back here. And this part of the machine is printing the use-by dates on all the bottles. Okay. Our sodas have a 15-month shelf life. And so whatever day they happen to be bottling, they'll add 15 months to that. They'll put that into the printer, and every single bottle as it goes through will get printed with the use-by date. Okay. As the bottles come around, they come around on the back side. When they get to the end of the machine down there, the little rubber fingers grab the bottle by the base, flip the bottle upside down, bring the bottle back, and bring it back to here where you see the little red nozzles underneath. Okay. Those little red nozzles are blowing ionized air up into the bottle. Now the bottles came in, they were sanitized, they were protected. Once they're on the conveyor belt, they're all undercover. But just in case of any little piece of dust or anything getting into that bottle, we air rinse it with ionized air. Okay? Ionized air simply means that we're electrifying the air. I'm sure you've opened one of those packages from Amazon or something with the little white peanuts in it and all that static electricity, and they stuck to you, they're stuck to the kids, they're stuck to my dog, you know. By using the ionized air, it offsets any static electricity, allows that little piece of dust to get blown out. Then it continues to this end of the machine, flips the bottle back upright, brings the bottle back over here, and at this point, this little machine here is checking to see is the label on there. If the label's missing, it'll actually stop the line. They'll go back to my problem child machine number 1. Problem child machine, tweak it, making sure that all the labels are getting put on correctly and all the dates are getting put on and everything's being taken care of correctly. All right. As it continues on its way then, it's going to go back to the back of the room back here, and that machine back there is what's going to actually fill the bottles. Then it's going to cap the bottles. Then it's going to go through the hood over there where it gets hit with steaming hot water to clean the outside of the bottle. It continues on its way. It's going to make the turn around here. It's going to go into that machine we've talked about a couple of times where the little white fingers, the bottles actually get put into the cartons at that point, get picked up on the conveyor belt, come up to this machine right here. So this is pretty near the end of the process, but to save us from walking back and forth and back and forth. As that carton comes up here, this machine does something really, really simple. It tapes the top of the box shut. Okay. But there's also another printer here, and this printer is printing that same use-by date on the outside of the box as what's on all the bottles on the inside. So if you buy a case of our sodas and you see the date on the outside of the case, that'll match the date of all the bottles on the inside of the case. Okay? It then continues on over to the wall. It goes up the incline over there, a conveyor belt. Always reminds me of the start of a roller coaster. Yeah. Chunk, 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 chunk. And then it comes across the little green and orange bridge. It goes into the big blue machine, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes. But I'm going to take you over there and show you where the bottles actually get filled first. Back in this corner, this is where we're actually putting the soda into the bottles. We're making the soda. There's 3 ingredients basically that come back here. One's the mix that we saw in the one tank. One's the additional water. Remember our ratio of 1 part of mix to 5 parts of water. Okay. And the third thing, the CO2. We force the CO2 into the bottle. Now, when the mix and the water come back into this corner, they go into these 2 silver tanks. And we use ammonia. We use ammonia as a refrigerant, okay? And so it's coming. We've got the ammonia circulating, and you've got it turning into a gas, and that's the process that creates the coolness. And then the gas is going back out, and it's just rotating around from gas to liquid, back to gas and liquid. Okay? But as it goes through here, that's chilling the water down, and we're chilling the water to just above freezing temperatures. And the reason we do that is the colder the water, the more CO2 we can push into the water, and the faster we can push it in. Okay? And that's kind of important when we get to this machine, because this machine came from Germany. We bought it used from Germany. It was $1.2 million used from Germany. But this machine has the capability to do 140 bottles of soda in 1 minute. So it can be moving. Now, to be honest, a lot of the other machines can't quite keep up, so we don't get to run at 140 bottles a minute all the time. Well, and that's the same thing that happens here. As the bottle comes around, the nozzle will come down, start filling up the bottle. It'll go around. When the bottle is actually full, the back pressure tells the nozzle to stop putting more liquid into it. Okay? So as it continues around, it'll come over here, and you can see the caps are up here. Usually there's caps landing in here, but they've stopped it. You can see some caps up here. They get put into the hopper up there. They get spun around until they're all facing the right direction. They come down here. The bottle comes around, gets capped, and then it continues on to the little hood here where it gets hit with the hot water to clean the outside of the bottle. Okay, and even though that water's steaming hot, it doesn't take our labels off. If you ever try to take our labels off of our bottles, I can tell you it is an adventure. They do not come off easily whatsoever. Okay. Remember we talked about over there on the mixing station, we talked about the 500 gallons and that 1:5 ratio making 3,000 gallons of soda. If you do the math, 3,000 gallons of soda will make 32,000 individual bottles of soda. Divide that by 24 to a case, it's a little over 1,300 cases if you're doing a full batch of 500 pounds.
So does this run 5 days a week?
No. In fact, we don't even run every week.
Uh-huh.
You know? Now, the average week, Monday is usually our shipping day. That's the day we're putting things on vans and getting them out of here. Tuesday is the day that the gentleman will be upstairs making the boxes. Tuesday's the day that they'll be making the mix. Wednesday into Thursday, depending on how big the batch is, that's when they'll be doing the actual bottling. And then Thursday into Friday, that's when they'll be actually doing maintenance on the machines, cleaning up and everything else. All right. Yeah, we do about 25 to 30,000 cases a year.
A year.
A year, in a year's period of time. Yep. As the case comes down the slide, it's picked up on the conveyor belt. As it gets close to the machine here, these little white fingers come up and get out of the way. The case goes into the bottom part of the machine. The 24 bottles, way over there, we took 500 bottles and necked them down to where they were going through one at a time. Now we're taking one at a time and we're kind of expanding it to where there's 24 bottles sitting here. These little white fingers will come up, they'll get out of the way, the case will go into the machine, the bottles will be released, and the fingers just help it guide it into the right places in the carton. Okay? And then the carton will continue on out, and just like you pointed out, it'll get turned, and that's when it goes up, goes to the machine that gets taped shut, goes on from there.
Wish we could see it.
Yeah.
And this big blue machine is one of my favorite machines. I know you were worried because I hadn't come across it. I needed 4 favorites, right? What happens when we'll put a pallet into the machine, as those cases come across the little bridge, they get placed around the pallet. But then the machine does this really neat thing. It turns everything 90 degrees and puts the cases around the pallet again. But now instead of all the cases being stacked straight on top of each other, they're staggered. Looks like a kind of a brick wall, giving it some structural integrity to it. They get picked up. Normally, it gets picked up on the conveyor belt, gets taped shut, goes over to that roller coaster incline, goes across the little green orange bridge, and goes into the big blue machine. Then the gentleman comes along with his forklift, picks up the pallet with 60 cases on it, takes it over to that little round plate on the floor over there, and then, okay, I'm old enough, I call it saran wrap. Handy wrap, plastic wrap, shrink wrap, whatever. They attach that to the pallet, and then that little round plate is actually a turntable. It takes and spins the pallet around and around and wraps that plastic around nice and tight, and that's what you're sitting over there against the wall where the pallets are all against the wall, all wrapped up nice and tight and ready to go.
So that's how they make soda on the production line at Appalachian Brewing Company in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Next up, we'll make our own soda.
Till then, may your suitcases always be messy.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Ring the bell to get notices about new videos. Hasta luego. See you soon.